So this is one of my favorite Sundays. In case you don't know who I am, I'm James Matchette. I'm Director of Operations here at One Hope, and so under that falls missions and global impact, and so which I have a heartbeat for, but all of us do. I really believe across the board this church has such a heartbeat for missions. You're extremely generous. And the reason that I love this Sunday is we get to talk about the impact that we made over this past year, and sometimes through the year I'm like, cool things are happening and you don't always get all of that information. We kind of collect it and we try to do as good as we can to get that information out to you as stories are happening, but some of them we share today, and so you're going to hear that. But then also we get to set our kind of big faith goals for this next year, and that's what's exciting. Is these are the things that our partners say they need, these are the projects that are in front of us, and these are the things that we get to do. So now one of the things we're going to talk about today, you're going to see on a lot of the materials See, Feel, Act. And if you've been around here for a while, you've probably heard a little bit of See, Feel, Act. It's See, Feel, Act, More Like Jesus, because there's two things that we're about here at One Hope Church. The first one is we are about helping people find hope. There's one hope in the world for everything. It's for your marriage, it's for your kids, it's for your life, it's for your career, it's obviously for eternity, and that hope is found in Jesus. So first off, we want to help people discover their one hope in Jesus, and that is a big part of what we're talking about here, because that's not just here locally, that's around the world. And so we want to bring hope to new people and new places all the time, and so that's a part of our mandate, that's a part of our mission. But then the second part of what we're about here is to become more like Jesus. We believe that our faith journey doesn't stop once we find Jesus. That's just the beginning of an exciting journey ahead of us, discipling and becoming more mature. And to have an example is that example of a disciple is Jesus. And so that's who we're trying to become like. That's what maturity is in our faith. And so we keep our eyes focused on Him, and we try to become more like Him every day. So we want to see the world and people like He sees. We want to feel our hearts. We want our hearts engaged in the things that Jesus' heart was engaged in, and act. We want to do the things that Jesus did. And a big part of that is how we are involved in addressing the needs in the world around us. And we're going to talk about that today. And we're actively involved in that, and you have the opportunity to be actively involved in that. Obviously, Love Tree is one of those things here locally. These are hearts of kids that are in need. The counselors at these schools have identified them as people who are in need. And we're talking today about people who are in need around the world. And so it's great to not have to search and wonder, hey, I want my life to have meaning. I want to have purpose. I want to be engaged. I want to be involved, and not know where to do that. We're blessed to have the opportunities right here in front of us today to get engaged, to get involved, and to be a part of it. So today, hopefully everybody got one of these. If not, you can grab these on your way out today. But there's a flyer that's going to kind of lead us through. This kind of outlines our goals for this year. And on the back, you're going to kind of see, we're going to work our way down through. These are the projects, these are the places that we're involved in right now. And then you're going to see our See, Feel, Act pledge card. And so throughout service, if you can kind of hold on to that pledge card, and maybe even start filling it out. But be in prayer through this service. Say, God, speak to me about how you would want me to be involved in being engaged in addressing the needs in the world around me. And so we're going to just work our way through that. Now, the first place, we're going to take a tour of the world a little bit. The first place that we're going to talk about is actually a place that we had a global team just come back from, and that is Guatemala. And so one of the first projects that we're involved in, and actually is multiple projects. So when you take a look at the budget for this year, you're going to see there's a large number for Guatemala. But the reason that is because we're engaged in two different locations, and I think that you'll agree that what we're spending in those locations is so powerful. The impact that we're making in the money that's being spent in these two churches that have these two outreach programs is significant. Now, while we were there, one of our missionaries that we support this year, we're going to support Tony and Andrea Mendez. Tony was able to just kind of record a short video for us today to kind of talk a little bit more about what we're doing in Guatemala. And so we're going to take a look at that right now.
Jesus said, let the children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. We have had the same vision that Jesus Christ shared to us as Impacto. And now that vision has become a reality. We have been able to establish many happy tummies. And in each happy tummies in the villages where we are, we have seen how the Lord has worked into the children's life, but not only their lives, but also the lives of their families. People here live under a roof with a tortilla and salt, and that's all they have to eat. Sometimes the children have no breakfast in the morning, no lunch. They live every day with that uncertainty. What are they going to eat? We went to the schools and did a survey and talked to many principals. And when we asked them what was one of the main issues of the children, they all agreed in different times that the children were not concentrating, the children were falling asleep, the children had no energy, they were not doing good in their grades, and most of all, they were always hungry. We said we need to change this, and praise God, Impacto has been able to establish many happy tummies. We are here to let them know that God said to them, do not worry about tomorrow. God is going to answer their prayers. And now at the Happy Tummies, we're able to provide a very nutritious meal. We provide vitamins to them. We provide toothbrushes, toothpaste. We teach them all the hygiene education, hygiene manners. They know that they need to wash their hands, and we provide the soap for their hands. And after they eat, they brush their teeth as well. And it's something that they are already used to do every day. The great thing is that we always teach them that they need to give thanks to God for their food every day. We provide, besides the food, besides the toothbrushes, toothpaste, and all of that, we provide other things such as school supplies to help them in their school. We provide also health care by bringing a doctor that will come once a month and do a checkup. We provide the medications that they need as well. And we have, through the ministry Healing Hands, if the medicine is not available or available at the pharmacy that we also have for the children, we will be able to go and buy it for them. There are so many things that we provide for the children, but the main thing is that as soon as they finish their lunch, we provide a lesson. We have trained our teachers to give them a Bible lesson every day. They sing to the Lord every day, and they memorize verses. They do many activities that are biblical. And also, on top of that, they get a tutoring time to help them in their school. Praise God, we have seen a difference in many of them. All of them have changed their grades. Their concentration levels are better. Their grades are better. Their behaviors are better, and they're able to play outside. They're able to interact better with other children. And it's all because of this ministry. We have seen a growth in the church, and we have seen many miracles happen. We want to thank One Hope for sharing the same vision, the vision that Jesus Christ instituted to us, and now you guys are part of it. We are here at the New Jerusalem Church in the facilities where we are going to start the new Happy Tummies sometime next year. But we just want to thank you because you are being part of many children not only coming to Christ, receiving Christ as their Savior, growing in Christ, getting to know Him more, but overall that their families will also be changed because of Happy Tummies and because God is using you as a church. So all we want to say is thank you, One Hope. Thank you.
Isn't that awesome? You see, he had a Hope shirt on. Wasn't that awesome? He's got one of our shirts on. But so that was Tony, and we support Tony and his wife. And when they first started this ministry, they call it Happy Tummies, and I think you'll figure out why. But when they first started working in these rural villages in the mountains of Guatemala, they went into some of these places and they sat with the kids, and they would literally see worms coming out of the kids' noses. just because they've got parasites and they've got worms and they're just infected. And they would see kids that couldn't even go to school because they didn't have the energy. Their hair is breaking and falling out because of malnutrition. Their growth is stunted. And so they've gone into these villages and they've identified the kids that are in need, and they started this feeding program. So they get a healthy meal and they get vitamins and they get medical checkups. They get the medicine they need to take care of those preventable issues and diseases. But they wash their hands and they brush their teeth, as you heard. They do all of these kinds of things for them every single day. They're doing this every single day in these places. And beyond that, what's great about it is now beyond that, they're attached to a church. And so they're hearing the gospel. They have a church to go to, so they're surrounded by a loving community, and their spiritual needs are being addressed, and they're being able to mature in Christ. And so that's why this ministry is so amazing, because we're planting churches and growing churches, and outreaching to the communities and meeting extremely dire needs that these kids and these families have. So as you take a look at your flyer and we go to the next slide, this is what we've been working on for the last few years in Zacapa. Let's go to the next slide. Here, we've planted a church. We partnered with a church, planted a church. We've been supporting the church pastor's salary. He's been doing an amazing job. When I first was there, it was all elderly and about 8 people in that church. When I was there last time, over 150 people, and the church was just alive. And it was alive with kids and families because we built a kitchen there, so that they could do this Happy Tummies program and bring these kids and families in so that they could receive this. And as a result, those kids and families are a part of this church, and the church is just exploding and just has so much more ahead of them. And so we are still involved in supporting this church and this ministry. So an exciting thing happening there in Zacapa. But because it was so effective, we didn't want to just stop with one. We wanted to move on to another. And so when we were here this last on our trip here this last week, we went to the, if you'll go to the next slide, we went to Santa Lucia, and we did a VBS because they're not ready to do Happy Tummies yet, but we have promised them the money to build the second kitchen that we will build, to start a second Happy Tummies that didn't exist before our partnership, so that they can start this ministry here. We did a VBS for 75 kids, and we saw the need. The need is there. But this is a growing church, but they don't have this next generation. And so they're a good, strong church, but we're going to help them implement this outreach program that will bring in a whole new generation to this church. And they'll be in to raise up leaders through this. And so exciting things happening in Guatemala for us to be a part of helping 2 churches grow, but then also to launch 2 new locations for these Happy Tummies ministries because of our partnership. Now with this partnership, we're working with some other southeastern churches. So I'm trying to get other pastors and churches to jump on board so that they can be a part of it, so that missions can be a part of their congregation, so they can jump in and take trips with us. And we already have Rocket City, our church plant up in Huntsville, Alabama, is in this with us. We have another of our district churches is jumping in with us. So I think that's an exciting part of this endeavor here. So that's Guatemala. So now as we move, we're going to move away from Guatemala. We're going to move into Haiti. As you know, Haiti's in the news. For whatever reason, Haiti's in the news quite a bit. There was a hurricane a number of years ago, and then there's an earthquake a couple of years ago, and now that earthquake has led to just civil unrest within the nation of Haiti. And so we're involved in Haiti and have been for years through World Hope International is an organization that we work with. And so we had a representative come in to talk with us today from World Hope, but he had an emergency, so he wasn't able to be here. So he sent me the information, and he sent me one of the latest just real short video updates that they have on Haiti. So we're going to take a look at that just real quick.
The system that is very, very important for us, for the hospital. It is the battery for the system banner. for the power to the hospital.
As you saw at the beginning of that video, what's happening in Haiti right now is really sad. There currently gangs control the mainland of Haiti. You can't travel in and out, and once you're in, they have shut down access to some vital needs, and that has shut down all of the hospitals in the mainland area. But the hospital that we work with, that World Hope has, is on an island, and so it's protected. And as a result, it has been able to remain open. And so one of the reasons our missions team wants to be involved in Haiti and stay involved in Haiti is what we're talking about today is we need to be aware of the needs of people, and we need to help people who are in need. Haiti is a country that has needs. And so it's as a person that would have needs, it's a nation in crisis. It's a country in crisis. It's a country in need, and it needs our help. And there's a lot of reasons why Haiti has been in the place that it has been in, and it's not completely their doing. And the world will likely get involved here in Haiti soon. But one of the things that we can do is try to be involved there to work with this hospital to make sure that it is prepared to take care of the needs that are present there in Haiti. But one of the things is, it's not just been a hospital, it has been a place where the gospel of Jesus is presented. But even more than that, it's been a station for disaster relief work to happen because it's safe there, because it's strong, its infrastructure is strong. They have been able to bring crisis relief to the nation from that hospital. It has literally been a lighthouse. And so the work that we're doing there is not just helping a hospital, it's helping a community, it's helping a country, and it's providing a place where we can do relief work when disasters happen and that relief work is needed to be done there. And so over this last year, we've been supporting this hospital, and we've been working. We got there first because of the earthquake, and so you sent funds immediately to help with the earthquake crisis relief, but then we stayed involved because things still haven't gotten cleaned up yet. And so we've stayed involved with the hospital. Over the last year, you gave so that they could build rooms in their emergency room department and outpatient services that were needed there. But one of the things that we want to work with them this next year, our projects are to help them continue to be self-sustaining so they don't have to rely on anything else in the nation because things can get shut down so quickly. Now, already the hospital is self-sustaining with water and with electricity, which you saw. The next steps are for us to help them build an oxygen plant. So you're going to see a picture of an oxygen generation plant within the hospital, because that's one of the things that shuts a hospital down. If they can't get access to oxygen, then they can't operate. And so this would allow them to produce their own oxygen and distribute it to the rooms. And so it's a big project, and we can't do it alone. We're going to work with a number of other organizations to help this get done. But then the next thing is, the second goal is for us to help them build a blood transfusion center. So they, when they have a need for blood, they can access it quickly by drawing in the local community to give blood. They can store that blood, and they can get that blood where it is needed. And so this is where we are in Haiti, and so it is a nation that needs your prayers, and we're glad that we can be involved there to help sustain it, but even more proud of the work that World Hope is doing with that hospital and how it literally has been a lighthouse for that area of the world for the last many, many, many years. Now, I want to highlight one other thing with World Hope, just so that you know how this works, is World Hope is also, if we go to the next slide, it is our go-to partner for crisis response. So when something happens, World Hope is there immediately And we can't get there immediately. And so when we give, over this last year, we gave to the Ukraine crisis. That went to World Hope because World Hope was on the ground with refugees, helping them. And when we had Hurricane Ian here recently, World Hope was there providing water right away, and so we give to them. So during the year, when we say, hey, we're helping this emergency relief crisis response, we're doing that through World Hope, and we're glad to have that partnership that allows us to respond immediately when something happens. So now we're going to transition to another ministry that works across the world. And you're familiar with it because we've mentioned it already. We're so glad that we get to be a part of this because the sin that's involved here is dark. And it's something that breaks all of our hearts. And so we've had Tom with us the last couple of years, but Tom from Destiny Rescue is here with us, so I'm going to invite him up here to just give us a quick update on what's happening with Destiny Rescue. So Tom, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, James. Well, good morning, One Hope.
Good morning.
It's good to be with y'all. So there's some really exciting things that God is doing, and it's partly because of you. So I want to celebrate just a little bit of what God's doing. So on the slide, you're going to see where we work. If you notice, that number looks different than last year. We launched 2 new rescue countries in the past year. So we're at 10 countries. Not only those 10 countries, but in that process, we've launched 3 rescue or project nations. So we're expanding our reach, and you're helping us get there. Our goal next year is to launch 12 new rescue projects. So that's 12 new countries where we're rescuing kids because, see, we exist to rescue kids out of sexual exploitation, human trafficking, and help them stay free. And because of your generosity, you guys have rescued over the last years, helped us rescue 6 kids. Can we applaud for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
6 kids free, 6 kids walking a path to freedom that's individualized based on their particular needs, 6 kids who have heard that they have value, that they have worth, and that there is a God who loves them. 6 kids are free because of your generosity. And this past year, we reached a milestone as an organization. We've rescued over 11,000 individuals since 2010.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Yeah.
We've rescued over 2,900 individuals so far this year, and we're celebrating. You ready for how many we rescued last week? 239.
Wow, yeah.
So God is on the move, and you're helping us launch into some incredibly dark places. On one of the places that we rescue, this marquee is over the red light district. If we could have that picture of the red light district. It is a physical reality. Like, we are meeting physical needs, but there's also a spiritual component to what we do. And we need your prayers. This bar is this is at the end of what we call Walking Street. It's a 1.5 mile red light district where kids shoulder to shoulder, 3 deep, come out and stand in the roadways just to be rented multiple times a night by customers. So through your giving, you're helping rescue. Through your prayers, you're helping us rescue. And I just want to say from the bottom of our heart, thank you. One of the young girls that we've rescued recently at our border stations, you can see the picture over here. As she was talking with our team, this is in Nepal, she was talking with our team, she asked our agent, she said, why are you doing this? And she said, because there are people around the world that believe kids shouldn't be rented. And she looked at her with tears running down her face, says, I thank you that you would give up your time, you would give up your dollars, your resources to help rescue somebody like me. So on behalf of her, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. One of the things that we look for in global work is we can't be in the places, and it's not even safe for us to be in all the places that we do work. And so we're glad to have partners who are in the dark places, who are doing that work, and who are setting people free. This breaks all of our hearts. We're so glad that we're involved in setting kids and adults free from sex trafficking, human trafficking, and exploitation. So thank you, Destiny Rescue. We're glad. We're going to have them back later on in the year, just to have a Sunday that's just dedicated to talking more about what Destiny Rescue does. So you can read a little bit more about Destiny Rescue and where they are and what they're doing. And the last kind of organization that you'll see in the lobby that we're involved with every single year, that's Filters of Hope. And so Filter of Hope is I love what they say as a part of their mission is everybody should have, because there just isn't any reason why everybody shouldn't have these two things. Everybody should have clean water, and everybody should have the gospel of Jesus Christ. Those are two things that everybody should have, and they have just focused their entire organization on trying to get those two things to as many people as they possibly can. And as you know, we send teams with Filter of Hope, and we hope to send a team this summer to distribute those water filters and to make that work possible. They carry in a water filter into a home. They provide that service and help the family see how they can have clean water, but then they use that as an illustration to talk about their testimony, their story, and the hope of Jesus Christ, which is what we're talking about here, bringing hope to new people, new places. So where do we go? Kind of where do we go from here? If you read through the scriptures, as a matter of fact, this would be a great exercise. If you start reading through the Bible in a year next year, if you read through it with a lens for the poor, the needy, the least, the imprisoned, the sick, the last, your eyes are going to be opened. I believe that mine has, just because I'm more involved in this. But as I read Scripture, you can see God's heartbeat for those who are in need. You can see it's a mandate for us as His followers to be involved in just addressing the needs of those around us when we see them. And so I want to just kind of draw your attention to 1 John 3:16 through 18. I still think it's so cool. We all know John 3:16, which is, for God so loved the world, He gave His only Son. I love that for whatever reason, if there's a point to this or not, I don't know. But 1 John 3:16 is very similar to John 3:16, but then flows into what our responsibility is. Because God loved us, what is our responsibility? And our responsibility is to love others as He loved us. But you see within this verse, which is key to what we do here in Global Missions and Global Impact, because it's got see, feel, and act all a part of this one verse. So let's just read this in 1 John 3:16 through 18. Says, "We know what real love is because Jesus gave His life for us. So we also ought to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters. If someone has enough money to live well," and I think we'd be hard-pressed to make a case that we don't. No matter what we have or don't have here in the Western world, we have. Just at the end of the day, we have. And so there is a responsibility that comes along with that, and this is that responsibility. And we see a brother or sister in need, but shows no compassion. How can God's love be in that person? Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Let us show the truth by our actions. And there are a lot of ways that we can be actively involved in meeting the needs of others, but the key is that we are. We are to see the needs around us, and we're seeing a lot of those needs today. It should break our hearts. We should feel something when we see those needs. But it can't even just stop there. It has to move to action, because we believe in action. We don't believe that in a religion that is just about faith in a person. We believe that faith transforms our hearts and our lives, and that leads to action. As a matter of fact, I believe that Jesus' primary concern with the Pharisees were that they had built a religion for themselves where they did what they wanted to do and just chose to not look at, feel, or do the things they didn't want to do. And one of those things was not seeing the poor and the needy around them and doing anything about it. I believe that's one of Jesus' biggest concerns. The Pharisees were not addressing or helping the needs of those around them. And we see that Jesus has called us to something more than that. He called them to something more than that, whether they got it or not, but He's called us to something more than that. And so as you see this next slide here, He's called us to have open eyes, open hearts, and open hands. And He's called us to that, one, by His example, because Jesus was that person. He did that. We see that it was His mission to go to the cross. But on His way there, He stopped again and again and again to address the needs of those around Him. Not because that was a part of His mission, but that's because that was a part of His heart. That's because that was a part of His character. That's who He was. It didn't further His purpose in any way, shape, or form. It just was what He was. And so, yes, our faith in Jesus is what gives us entrance into the kingdom. But meeting the needs of poor is what we do when we're in his kingdom, because that's what people in Jesus' kingdom do. And so we're to have our eyes open to see the needs. May we not have the blinders that the Pharisees had. Let's see the needs of those around us. Let's allow our hearts to be soft and feel the empathy and feel, when you share, I feel gross on the inside. It's hard to hear Tom talk about Destiny Rescue and the things those kids go through. But that's good. If that's hard to hear, that means your heart is soft and you're still receiving that empathy and compassion. It should break our hearts. And as it breaks our hearts, it should now move us to action. May we not just see and feel, but may we act. May we show our faith by being more like Jesus, by being willing to stop as Jesus stopped. And today is our opportunity to stop as Jesus stopped and do something to address the needs around us. And that opportunity is right in front of us. So today what we're going to talk about is as you look at this prayer card, or this pledge card, we're going to talk about a commitment. This is kind of when we set our annual goals for this next year, and you've heard about what we've done and what we hope to do and continue to do. But these are our goals for this next year. And so this is the time every year where we make our commitments to say, hey, this is what I think I believe God is calling me to do, to give, to be a part of addressing these needs. Now, we used to call it faith promise, but this is essentially a faith pledge. And let me explain to you what a faith pledge is. We go to the next screen, you're going to see it is just simply a commitment to say, if I'm willing to take the step of obedience to do what I believe God's called me to do, which is to meet the needs of the poor and the needy around me, don't I believe that a God who talks about bringing honey from a rock, as we sang earlier, can provide that for me over this next year? If I'm willing to step out in faith, this commitment to give to Global Impact isn't about I have this money in my bank account or I have this money extra set aside. It is, I don't know where this money is going to come from, because tithing is a lot. That's enough. That's my obedience. But this is above and beyond that. So I don't know where this is going to come from. But I believe in faith that if I take the steps that God's called me to take, that He can provide that for me over the course of the next year. I want to ask you a question. If you said, I believe God's speaking to me about giving $1,000 over the next year. You can break that up into a month, or you can by months, or you can give it all at one time. Don't you believe that God could provide $1,000 for you over the course of the next year? That you wouldn't even feel it? Like, that's what this faith pledge is all about. And we have over 1,000 people that call One Hope Church their home. And to make this budget to help us continue the work on the ground that we're doing and that we've promised to do, we just simply need 160 people to say, you know what, I think if I give $500, God can provide that for me over this year. Or if I make a commitment to give $1,000, I believe that God can provide that for me over a course of a year. God can provide. I won't even feel it. I just believe that God will provide it. If I give, maybe 32 people give $2,500 a year will help us get to our goal. And so I just want you to kind of look at this card, just kind of hold this card and just kind of be speaking or just kind of praying as we close up service. But I know for me, just as I've done this in the past, a number just always comes. And I just know that that's what God would have me to do. And I think it's a step of faith. It is. But that stretching is good. When we went to Guatemala this past week, there were so many steps of faith, stretching, but that stretching is good. It's that stretching that brings maturity in our faith. To step out and do new things, hard things for God is good, because that stretching builds maturity in our faith. And so this will be a stretch for so many of us today, but that's good. That means you're still growing and maturing in your faith, and the cause is worthwhile. For malnourished children to have food every day, for people who are in crisis in Haiti, when they get sick and they need oxygen or they need blood, to have access to a place they can go and have their life saved. or a child standing on a street that's going to be rented again and again and again every night, these needs are worthwhile. And we have it. We have it. So as you consider this pledge today, we're going to close up with a video that came from last year's Global Impact Sunday. I'm honored. It's my daughter, so I'm honored that that Filter of Hope decided to highlight her this past year with a video, and then we're going to close in worship, while you consider your commitment today.
Hi, I'm Eliana Matchette, and I'm a middle schooler who wanted to make a difference, so I partnered with Filter of Hope. So it all started on my birthday when I was going shopping at Old Navy, and I was excited to spend some of my birthday money on some clothes, but I realized that everything I wanted to buy was like $40, and as I was thinking ooh, is it worth the money? Do I want to buy this and all of that? Then I started to think about the fact that $40 could mean a lot to people that don't have as much, and a shirt really isn't that important. And so, fast forward to Christmas, they were doing there was like a Filters of Hope setup or stand or whatever you call it. And I saw that buying a filter for a family that needed one was $40. And I thought that that would be so cool, that was a really important way that I could spend my money. And so I decided to do that. I met up with Sean and I gave him the money to buy the filter, and he let me sign the filter, and he told me about what he was going to do, that he was going to bring it to Ecuador, and that later I would get to see a video of him bringing it to the family. And I was really excited about that because it's really fun for me to see who I get to help and all of that stuff.
Hey Eliana, it's Sean, and these are my friends Benton, Hannah, and Amon. They're from the University of Iowa and Marquette University. They've been hanging out with us with Filter of Hope here in Ecuador. We're in the town of Basama. They've been handing out water filters for the past couple of days, and look what I got, your filter that you signed yourself. And I'm super excited to go into this house here behind us and see what the Lord has. We're really, really happy to be able to deliver clean water and share the gospel with lots of people here. So let's go see what's going on inside, all right? Vámonos. Vamos. You see the difference?
¿Ve la diferencia?
Sí, es mucha diferencia.
Would you drink this water?
¿Tomarías agua?
No.
How about this water?
¿Y eso
Sí.
de ahí?
Yeah, have a drink.
¿Quieres tomar?
Gracias.
So thank you so much for receiving us in your home and for this delicious food.
Muchas gracias por recibirnos en su casa y por obsequiarnos esta deliciosa comida.
Lo que Dios da, está también le reparta a usted.
What God provides me, I will give it to you as well.
So this gift is actually from a girl in the United States.
Este es un regalo de una chica de los Estados Unidos.
For her birthday, instead of spending money on herself, she wanted to buy a filter for someone in need.
Por su cumpleaños, en vez de ella gastar su dinero ella misma, ella quería comprar un filtro para alguien que no tenía agua allí.
Yes.
Gracias a usted y a ella.
Yeah, her name is Eliana, and she was really, really happy to give a filter. So we hope that you were blessed by this time and by this filter and what we were able to serve today.
Su nombre es Eliana y esperamos que haya sido bendecida por lo que se ha hecho aquí.
Gracias. Muchísimo.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much, Eliana. This has been an awesome time, and you've made a big impact. So thank you for everything you've done, and I hope that you're able to be encouraged by what has happened here today. So we'll see you later. Bye.
That video was so awesome. It makes me feel really good to know that I really did help somebody, and it's crazy to think that just as a kid I can help another family with a mom and dad and people that are older than me, and that I can still make a difference in their lives. I definitely want to do this again because I feel like next year I want to buy two. Every year just buy another one. I feel like $40, it really doesn't seem like that important to me once I see how much it can do for somebody else. Because for me, difference, watching this video showed me the difference between buying a shirt and helping a family for a really long time that really, really needs it. It's definitely a lot less important to me to have that $40.